2019 and the year of the big spending, high stakes trading Reds. I'm Jeff.
I'm Kim.
I'm Jim.
And this is a Three Old Reds Fans podcast coming to you from Studio 82 down the street from our good friends at Beans in the heart of Cedarville, the always famous birthplace and final resting place of Reds pitching legend Bumpus Jones. And if you subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app or website, thank you for being one of the most loyal Reds fans ever throughout this rebuild. We do have a 5-star rating on iTunes currently, so please rate us. We don't have a whole lot of ratings, but we got a few. We got enough people, a few. So go on there and do that. If you listen to us on like the Apple on your iPod or iPhone, whatever podcast app, you can do it there. And if you leave a review, nobody's done that yet, so I don't know if I want to read any, but if you do, we'll read it, and that helps get you more notice on those things. More people see you in searches and so forth, and even more people can join in the fun. So if you do, we'll read your review on the show. I keep saying that, but nobody wants their stuff read on the show, I guess, because nobody's doing it. So go do it if that's you. The rebuild is red hot, and you just want to get on board because one of these days we're going to play games in October, and you don't want to miss out on the fun. So welcome to episode 36, and today it's me and Kim as usual. Tom is off doing wedding planning stuff.
That's right.
So that's going on in my family today too. There's wedding dress shopping going on in Cincinnati, but I am here at home.
You're a loyal old Red fan.
Well,
he's avoiding them.
I don't think they want me around anyway.
Well, Tom,
it's a mother, daughter, and two sisters kind of day. I mean, that's there for them to do. They did it with my first daughter got married, or my youngest. Now my oldest is getting married, so that's their thing. And so I don't know what Tom's doing, but
their wedding's a good 9 to 10 weeks before ours.
It is.
Well.
It's sooner. He's out picking out napkins or something. So Jim Lisle has joined us, and Jim was with us recently, and on I don't know 2 or 3 shows back, and Jim helps run a Reds Facebook page, Rounding Third, heading for home. And so we've been Reds Caravaning. Jim has been Reds Caravanning. He might as well be one of the guys. Did you get to ride the bus or?
I wish.
So
next year.
So you went to, which one did you go to first?
Columbus was the first one. It was on a Thursday.
And then then 2 days later on Saturday, they're at the Air Force Museum in Dayton, and I was there covering it for the Dayton Daily News, wrote a couple stories, and Jim was there, and then Jim left from there and drove like Billy Hamilton to
Batesville, Indiana.
And what's that near? Is that near Evansville, or?
It's basically the only thing they're known for is caskets, and I'm telling you, it's out in the middle of nowhere, really.
Okay. All right. So it's southern Indiana, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's on the way, probably on the way to Evansville, but not that far. Yeah. So anyway, I'm there. The guys get there. Well, they were late. Had a few minutes to interview. Talked with Sal Romano, Cody Reed, Scooter Gennett, and we're going to hear from them on this show. Clipped some of the interview stuff of them, and we're gonna listen to some things they have to say and react to that. And then the caravan. Those of you who've gone to it, well, I go in, we do the interviews, come back to where the fans are, and I'm there taking pictures. Supposed to take some pictures, and who do I see in the front row? Who do you think, Kim?
Diamond Jim,
carrying more stuff than he can handle for the autographs.
He bumped out the little 8, 9-year-old.
Oh yeah, he was. He was.
No.
Yeah.
I used them to get there.
You used them to get there. So who'd you have with you?
I had my godson with me, as always.
What's his name?
David.
David.
And his friend, his best friend, which I call Flea. I call him that because he's extremely hyper and doesn't ever settle down, which I absolutely love. David's mom and dad was there, and then I had a couple other friends that actually met me there from kind of out and around. Yeah.
So, it's the players come in, and so it was those 3 guys. Buddy Bell was there. Sean Pender, one of the front office dudes. And Brantley Bell, who's not related to those Bells. It's the son of Jay Bell. He played at Dayton a couple years ago. I don't know where he is now, AA, AAA, somewhere. Not one of the big prospects that the Reds have, but, he's still may make his way to the majors someday. And then Big Bob Castellini was there. Though he was not really available interview-wise. He might have been afterward, but I had to leave because I had to go cover something else. And so they were there and they talked, and so they passed the microphone around. They asked a lot of questions. The fan, you guys submit questions, fans. Is you coming in? Is that what happens? Is there a place to submit questions?
It is. It's different in Dayton than what it is in some of the other ones. Some of the other ones, like the Batesville and the Columbus one, they'll walk up to you. You raise your hand, they'll give you the mic and let you ask it right there on the spot.
Okay.
But Dayton, since it's one of the bigger spots, you walk in, you go to the table, you can write down your questions, and they pick and choose the questions from there.
Okay. So they had seats, I think somebody said, for like 450 people there in the middle of one of the hangars. You got airplanes all around. It's really kind of a cool setting. And so are the other places smaller crowds?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, I was shocked with the crowd at Dayton because to me it was less than it normally is, and I think the weather had a lot to do with it.
I would say there were 450 seats. There might have I don't know if there were 400 people in those seats.
Yeah, I don't know.
Over 350, but maybe around 400.
They were all behind me, so
he was in the front row. He was in and out, and so he could get on to Batesville real quick. So they pass around and answer questions, and Scooter had a little fun interviewing Sal one time, and so it's a good time. It's a pretty good time. And then everybody lines up for their autographs. You get one autograph per person per celebrity. You gotta pick and choose what you're going to do, right?
That's what they say.
Did you get more than one sometimes?
Well, honestly, you don't. I didn't really try to. I had a couple things up there, and sometimes I slide it down the table, and it gets signed more than once. Like I'll have I think I had on that time, I had a 8x10 of the stadium, and they just kind of slid it on down the table, and everybody signed it, which wasn't my intention, but it worked.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Cool. So Kim was out of town. But he's back, and maybe you have to go next year if the weather's nice. Kind of fun. It doesn't cost anything. Go over there and hang out, see him, and it's kind of cool. So as I said, they had a chance to talk to him. So first thing I'm going to do here is list a few of the comments they made. So here's what Scooter had to say about the rebuild.
Yes, there's a lot of things to be excited about. Not only the players, basically a new coaching staff other than Freddie, and it's something that I know that the players are excited about. I know the staff is, and I hope that the fans are too, because it's been a few years now. We've been in that rebuild phase. The front office called it kind of the past 2 years, and every time we show up to spring training, we don't really like to hear those words as players. So now it's nice that they're expecting us to win now, and we're on the same page now. So that's always something to be excited about.
What caught your attention about what he said? Anything in there?
I think a lot of it has to do with how they're coming into spring training in general, knowing that this is not just another year to kind of just go through the motions, but they actually feel that they can actually compete this year now, knowing they have a lot,
more pieces,
more confidence,
more experienced major leaguers.
Yes.
That expectation, did you catch that, Kim? He says they expect us to win.
Well, I found it interesting that he said they call it a rebuild, and I really don't know what that. I know what a rebuild means, but what does that really mean? I would think as a player, as a very productive player, not only for the Reds but an all-star this past year. For Scooter, it's you could sit there and read between the lines. Is he asking, or is he saying, guys, get us to where we are competitive?
Yeah.
Enough of this. And I said it before, don't get a Gosselin, don't get a Pennington. I hate throwing names out there, but get some players. Now, this is after the fact. We do have quite a few players.
Yeah.
This is after the fact. So it's good to know that.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to say that, there's some weight behind it.
Right. Because I think, how many times have we heard people say, they're wasting Joey Votto's best years,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Well, Scooter's two best years have sort of been wasted. So he's not Joey, but he's a legit all-star type of guy, at least with the bat. And so, he kind of feels the same way. He feels that way. Suarez will start to feel that way. Guys, once you've done it a couple years, you're going to start to feel that way. Like, come on, let's do this. I'm kind of in my prime here. Let's get something going, And so there's a handful of guys on the team, and and a Puig and a Kemp and a Alex Wood and a Roark. Those guys are coming over, and they don't want to go to some team and just exist. They want to be good. They want to win. So okay. Well, here's what. And Cody Reed, Cody's got an option left. One, they can put him down. He doesn't have to start the year in Cincinnati. He very well could in the bullpen. He could definitely win a bullpen spot, or they could put him down there to say, you're the first guy or second guy we want to call up to start, so we're going to put you down there to start. So who knows what he's really going to do, but here's what he has to say about sort of that rebuilding stuff.
I heard the rebuilding thing right when I got traded over here. I heard it my first spring training in 2016 with the Reds, and I think now all the young guys have gotten some sort of experience in the big leagues. So now it's just time to put it all together and win some games.
Get some feet wet now. Who do you think? I thought, well, who do we think? Who's got their feet wet enough that maybe I think we began to see it. We've seen it out of Suarez. We really started to really see it out of Peraza last year. Thinking pitching, maybe, more than anything. Whose feet are wet that maybe is like going to not pitch like a rookie anymore?
A rookie or a young pitcher?
A rookie or a rookie or a first or second year kind of guy.
Castillo immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
I know this will be his, third year, if you would, or second and a half year.
And really last April was like his only bad month.
Right.
Other than that, he's been really pretty good.
And I we're fans. We were hoping, being a Reds fan, we didn't have much to cling on to. Joey, for me, Winker,
yeah.
some other ones. And with Castillo, I was just hoping, I think a lot of us are hoping that he would just build on incredibly like he did the year before. And that didn't happen. And even after April, much better, but we just kind of, I don't know, I just guess we were just hoping, clamoring, whatever. But Castillo immediately comes to mind. I don't think we saw enough of Molly for me to put him in there. And I'm hoping that Disco, he's not quite as young as those guys, but he is very young still overall. So hopefully those two, Castillo and Disco, will stay healthy, move forward, and just improve.
Yeah,
I could see those three easily. I mean, those three I think are going to be the front runners for starters. Cause
who's that?
The same, Malley, Castillo, obviously, and then
Disco.
Yeah, Disco.
Oh, Disco. Okay.
Yeah,
right,
but I could
right,
see
gotcha.
some good backups being Cody and Sal. I mean, Sal had 13 wins last year. I defended him left and right. I know some people were like, well, he's struggled. But, yeah, he has struggled. But not only plays with passion, but you also see, I think with Johnson coming up to help him out, I honestly see just changing drastically in the pitching in general.
Did Sal look slimmer to you?
Yes. Oh, he's lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
His goal was to lose.
It was amazing
Yes.
what he looked like.
His goal was to lose 20 pounds. It started in October, and he actually hit the 20-pound mark right around the Caravan. And, yeah, he definitely – to me, he says 20, but he must have put on a lot of muscle, too, because he looks way slimmer than just 20.
In some companies, you'll hear people talk about, this is a person we want to keep in the company.
Yes.
We want to keep them. And Romano, you made the mention, you just said that he plays with passion. You know what else he does? He roots with passion. He's such a positive influence in the dugout.
Gives home run hugs, too. Every time you get a home run, he's right there.
And
I love it.
This is a guy, you sit there and say, we need to find a spot in this company for this man.
Yep.
Even if we don't have him plugged as starter,
right?
We have to have him in whatever because he is valuable in so many ways.
Totally agree.
Well, he talks about some of that a little bit later, and we'll get to that. So hold that thought a little longer. Here, and speaking of Sal, here's what Hal says. Sal had to say, about that sort of rebuild scenario.
We've got our feet wet in the big leagues. We've had some experience up there now, so there's really no more excuse. It's time to really bear down and, get people out and do your job. I'm guilty. Obviously the last couple of years haven't been the best for the Reds pitching staff. We made some great accusations so far to help us out and, some experience. So I'm really excited to get out to Goodyear here soon.
He's excited to go. You kind of get the same theme, right? It's like, hey, let's get there, let's do this. People talk like that every year, but there's a little less general, a little more specific this year. There's like some things. It's less abstract, if you will. There's more. There's like things you can talk about, and I think that's interesting. And one of those things is Derek Johnson, and the Sonny Gray trade obviously had much to do with that, and so I've got Cody and Sal talking about Derek Johnson. And before we jump to that, let's just talk about Gray, because that's the new acquisition since our last show that we did. And we got a Facebook question for Jim about Sonny Gray. Somebody named Corey Joe Richardson Marilat. Is that how you say that?
I think it's Marlowe, actually.
Marlowe? Is that how you say it? Well, I'm spelling it phonetically. I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing it phonetically. She says, this is a question from your godson, Jim.
This is a real question. This is
a real question on Facebook.
This is not like Saturday Night Live when they say, Mr. Richard Fader from Fort Lee, New Jersey. Right.
No.
This is truly
truly real. She wants to know, what's Jim's opinion on Sonny Gray? So, Jim, what is your opinion on Sonny Gray? And I segue into that because obviously Derek Johnson, being his college pitching coach, had a lot to do with this whole thing at Vanderbilt. Yeah. So what do you think of that move?
I'm happy with it, actually. As long as they didn't have to give up a whole lot, and they didn't. So I was very happy that they didn't have to give up a whole lot. They got a 3-year extension on the guy, so it's not a 1-year, deal for him.
Is it a 3-year extension or 2-year extension?
3. He's got him. They got him this year already signed, plus 3 more years.
So it's 4 years total.
Plus an option year of only $12 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm very, very happy with it. I'm seeing the same passion out of him as what I do with Sal and some of the others. If you actually look at his numbers side by side with Kluber, and look where they're at. And I know that he hasn't been as consistent as what Kluber has, but you look at their numbers and they're almost identical side by side for their career. And like I said, I know that he was injured and he hasn't bounced back exactly, but his numbers are out there. I mean, it's impressive, and I'm very. That's why I think I'm really happy with the Reds using the cybermetrics like they're doing, because they're thinking outside the box. They're not spending a fortune on somebody that's getting up there. He's not necessarily young, but they're not spending a fortune on him. They didn't give up the farm to get him, and I could see he's got that same passion. I'm excited about him.
Yeah, and I think along sort of what you said there for a second too made me think. They made all these trades, and all these top prospects whose names have been thrown around. They're all still here.
Team.
Exactly.
They're all still here. I think Jeter Downs is a tremendous prospect. Shed Longs is a good prospect. I think Josiah Gray is probably a good prospect. But, you can't, Thomas said, I'm tired of waiting. Can't wait forever on everybody, because they're not all going to get there at the same time. And, the Astros sort of caught lightning in a bottle with that kind of thing, with all these guys kind of showing up within a year or two of each other, and boom, they were really great, right? Plus they added some pitchers through trades, and signings and such. But yeah, I think that is a real thing that didn't give up a lot of stuff, and we tend to see things and especially in the media. There's a lot of seeing things. Very big gaps between everything. Corey Kluber, greatest pitcher in the American League. Sonny Gray, way down here. But in reality, there's often not a ton of difference.
Right.
It's like, this team's no good. Well, they're not. They're close. It's not so black and white as you think it is.
The comparison was actually with Ketchel and not Kluber. But either way, I'm sure it's not too far off. But I got the wrong name on there. Okay. But this was it's actually one of the things that was posted on there on one of my other administrators on the Facebook site. It's got Kluber and Gray side by side. Their ERA careers is both 3.66. When it comes to strikeout per inning, you got 7.9 versus 7.2. Walks, you got 3.1 versus 2.6. So basically, you've got almost side by side, and the Reds are saving about $50 million compared to catcher.
Yeah, right. I mean, that is part of it is the money. I mean, it's going to be part of it.
Well, wasn't it just 2 years ago when the Yankees got him from the A's? This was like a coup of an acquisition for the Yankees.
Yes.
And so, as we talked about on our last show, some people just do not perform well in New York. Remember, Randy Johnson was a member of the Yankees for not even a full season. It's just not his cup of tea in New York. Jay Bruce certainly didn't do anything in New York. Some people just don't perform in New York. So hopefully he will build on that. And then what also, and although Corey Joe didn't ask me my opinion, I'm with you, Jim. I like the fact that the initial response from the Yankees was we want Stevenson and Shed Long and this, a trade pick. And we're all, for me at least, I was so scared of Jocketty having anything to do with this again when we got fleeced with Chapman. I was nervous. But then we didn't give those guys up. We still have Trammell. We still have Stevenson. We still have Senzel. And I do not want Jonathan India touched. I think, you said it really well, Jeff. All these Houston Astros kind of came out more or less at the same time. Well, we're a little spaced out, but Senzel and India, to me, are the same type players and the same type potential. And if we're going to get Senzel up, forget being hurt, all things being equal, we're going to have him this year, at worst, late April, and there's a good chance we're going to have India on that team in 2 years.
Yeah,
those two, if they keep doing like they've done at every level, wow, with Winker there.
Yeah,
Suarez there,
and if the lineup is so good and solid that you can't find a place for India, well, he'll fetch you a good something or other.
Yeah, that's right.
He will. He'll get you something. So, the Gray, Derek Johnson connection is real. I don't think it's all about just coaching them up. Guys still have to have the ability and the talent, and I'm sure he does. And hopefully that will play off. But here's what first Reed and then Romano had to say about Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson, what do you know about him? Have you talked to him, met him?
I have multiple times. He called me actually when he was on his way to Reds Fest in early December. He called me. We talked for 10, 15 minutes about everything. He was with Milwaukee, so he probably saw all of us throw, at some point. I'm really excited. He has got, really, really good reputation. He was at Vanderbilt for a while, and I've actually read his book he had when he was out there because David Price is one of the guys that I really followed, and I was going through, the draft process when I was in college. And he had nothing but, awesome things to say about him. So, if David Price is going to take his time to do something like that, he's got to be, worth something for sure.
Derek Johnson, you talked to him? What are your...
Yeah, he's a great guy. And, for him to even come over from the Brew and see what he did in Milwaukee, and then for him to leave Milwaukee to come here, and I think that speaks a lot to the type of manager that we have now, David Bell. For those guys to come over from the success they had at those other two teams, probably says a lot about David. And Derek has been very involved already with all the pitchers with the group texts and sending us videos and stuff that can help us out. So and individually phone calls, and I'm really, really excited to be able to pick his brain and make my game better.
He's been in touch with him, which isn't surprising, but he's as easy it is to communicate these days via text and so forth. Sounds good. Sounds promising. Sounds like a guy that writes a book on pitching, as he has. Well, he's probably studied it pretty well. He ain't just going off his experience. He's definitely studied it. So I think the more you hear about that guy and the stuff, it's not all the only thing that matters, but it sounds like a good get for him. So
I'm excited. Also Casale, also their backup catcher. He also was under him in Vanderbilt as well. So.
And he and Gray know each other, right?
Yes.
Casale, they played together in college. So as long as Casale makes the team, which I think he will. I think he's the easy number 2 catcher this year. There's nobody minor leagues that's ready.
He's not going to be our DH, is he, Jeff?
Well, that'd be a good idea. So there's that. So any other thoughts on that? Okay, here's what. Now, roles are. We're not sure what the roles are. So, I think everybody is pretty much everything I've seen and the thoughts I've had, and see if you guys have any different opinions. But I mean, the rotation is going to be the 3 new guys we've traded for, and I think Castillo and DeSclafani is probably going into spring training the 5 they have in mind. I don't know who starts opening day.
I think Wood.
I was going to say Gray or Wood.
Yeah, I'd also think about putting Castillo out there, but if you think he is your guy who can be your number one, why not say you go be the man? Put that confidence in him. I don't think that puts pressure on him. I think it puts confidence in him. So I don't. It'd be interesting to see what they decide. But I can easily see going Alex Wood.
Yeah. The only reason I say Wood even over Castillo, and I think Castillo is definitely their future ace. It's just a matter of, it's such a big environment for opening day, and is that stage going to be too much for Castillo? I mean, yeah.
Well, if it is, he's not really number one. I mean,
not quite. I don't think he's there quite yet.
Yeah.
I think he will be, but I don't even think he'll be there even by the end of the season. I think he's that good. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of his confidence, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So that leaves who's in the bullpen? Romano, Reed, they still have options. Molly certainly does.
Lorenzen.
Lorenzen's going to be on the team, obviously. Amir Garrett's going to be on the team, I would imagine. And then the short guys, the Iglesias and Hernandez and Hughes, as long as they don't have Hughes and Hernandez. As long as they don't have a horrible spring.
Right.
A Peralta, I don't know. Peralta was really good the first couple months or so with the Reds, and he hasn't been that good since. He's got to have a good spring, I think, to make the team.
Having Reed and who's the other lefty? Garrett.
Yeah.
I mean, Peralta's going to be fighting for a roster spot.
He is. And there's only one left-hander in the rotation right now. Right. And which is it, but that was interesting. I saw MLB put out a list the other day of projected rotations across Major League Baseball, and I looked at the NL Central, and the Cubs have 3 lefties, but nobody else has more than 1. And somebody even has 5 right-handers. Maybe it was the Pirates. I can't remember now. I'd have to look at it. But it was okay, well, we got 1 lefty, and the Cubs got 3, but nobody else really has any lefties either. So, I don't know how much that matters always. I just want guys that can get people out more than anything. That's the key thing. So, I guess two guys being equal, if one's a left-hander, you probably lean that way. But otherwise, you pick the best guys. So here's what Sal has to say about his role going forward this year and what he's hoping for and all that.
One thing is definitely you got to compete in the strike zone. I think that's most important. You got to get these major league hitters out. You got to be able to compete with quality pitches inside the strike zone. These guys go up there with an approach, so that's really important. And I also learned that I could start and relieve. That's one of those things. I've never really relieved before, and I got some experience last year coming out of the bullpen. So it's one of those things where whatever the Reds want me to do, I'm going to be up for it. And but this is a comeback year for me. I'm really motivated to. I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in, and I'm ready to get out there and to show what I can do. No, I want to be there, be happy with it, and also pitch well. That's the most important. I want to help the Reds win any way I can, and I think that's just the most important thing. It's no more about just getting your feet wet, like I said before. We got to win. I think we have the pieces to win. I think we got some young guys that can really help us out. Hopefully I can be part of that, and I know that I'm ready to go here in a couple weeks to show that I belong there. So I'm looking forward to it. With a guy like Derek Johnson, I got to really listen to what he has to say about me. But the competition, I've been in a competition with it every single year. The first 2 years ago, I was the last one cut. And then last year I was able to break with the team in the rotation, so it's possible. So I'm just going to go in there with an open mind. When the ball's handed to me, I'm going to be on a mission to do my job, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, sounds like a guy you want on your team, doesn't he? As we already alluded to, or didn't allude to, we talked about. And he's still a guy that could get 15 starts this year. Just you never know, right? I mean, he could.
Yeah,
that could happen easily. Injuries and such. So I think he and the first thing he talked about too was strike zone. He's learning it. Everybody's learning it. There's a pitching coach out there that doesn't tell you to throw strikes. It's just whether or not they can do it consistently and do it. So, and here's Reed. It's definitely shorter than what Sal had to say.
I always, in the offseason, I always go in to be a starter. So that's what I've been doing this offseason. And, last year I did both. And the year before that I did both as well. So, I pitched out of the bullpen when I came back up, around like early August. And then I pitched my way into the rotation, made a couple of starts in September, and I thought I did pretty well. So just trying to carry that over into this season. Yeah, I got called up for the first time in June of 2016. So and I've been up and down since. So it's definitely tough, because you see cool things happen. Like I wasn't there when Scooter hit 4 home runs. You see stuff like that. And you want to be there, for moments like that, and just to be a part of the team, and you want to win, and you want to be up there because that was the ultimate goal for me. And yeah, I've made it, but now it's just all about staying.
The fact that he is on the Reds Caravan tour tells me they still got faith in this kid to really be to contribute to the team some way.
He ended his season so strong, though. I was so impressed.
He really did.
It was like a whole different person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited for him.
But I'm happy about the Reds saying, yeah, these guys finished strong and they look pretty good. But you know what? We're not going to just hope for that. We're going to go get some guys. And
Hope's not a strategy.
That's right. And we're going to have some depth. So when Alex Wood strains his oblique, or, well, you know what I'm saying, or Tanner Roark.
But it just seems to be so common with our team.
I know. When Tanner Roark's shoulders bother him a little bit for a couple weeks, we can bring in a guy like Reed or Romano or Molly instead of Tim Adelman and Scott Feldman and Asher Wojciechowski and Giovanni Gallardo and Lisaverto Bonilla.
By the way,
and all these guys.
Adelman might be making a comeback.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Well, good for him. Hope he can, he seems like if he can find a way to hang around a bullpen for a few years, that'd be great for him. Yeah, you wish the best for those guys. So that's sort of that whole thing, and I think those guys are, while not top of the rotation guys or the number, for sure on the team this year, it's just interesting to hear some of their what they have to say, because it's probably what a lot of the other guys would have to say. So let's take a quick break here from that, and let's go back to last episode, which was episode 35, and we've been doing like Reds uniform numbers based on the episode number, which we should have started in the very beginning, but we didn't. Maybe when we get too high of a number, we'll go back and revisit the first 25 or whatever where we started. Maybe when we get to 101, we'll do number 1. So you mentioned at the end of the last show, Kim, number 35, we didn't do it, and you said
Don
Gullett. Okay. A couple other pitchers from that kind of era, 70s, 80s era, the Reds also wore number 35. Any names come to mind? He's not going to know. Jim's not going to know.
Some of them looked any.
You might know the names when I say them, but you won't.
Some going off of memory for me, so no.
Woody Fryman.
Wow,
and Frank Pastore.
How can I forget Frank Pastore?
Yeah. So it's a pitcher's number. 30. Once you get into that mid-30s, you're getting into pitcher's numbers. But also, Hall of Fame catcher Ernie Lombardi in 1938 wore number 35. And then what's interesting, when you look at those guys from that era, like they had a different number every year. I don't know what it was, They didn't spend as much money on uniforms. It's like, oh, well, what fits you this year? And you put on 5 pounds. You're wearing number 35 this year. You can't fit into number 20 anymore, So he did that. He wore 6 different numbers as a Red. And, I don't know how many years he played with the Reds, maybe 10. So move on now. This is episode 36. I've got 4 pitchers here from the 70s forward that wore number 36.
All right, first there's the Hawk.
Clay Carroll. Why every time that we say Clay Carroll's name, somebody says the Hawk? We just do. It's like when a guy has a nickname, it's like you always want to say the nickname too. I just think it's funny.
Luke Lelouch. What was his real name?
Yeah, who knows? Andre Dawson.
Yeah,
he was the Hawk.
Automatically, you see the Hawk, and I think Andre Dawson.
Yeah, but Clay Carroll.
That's the time I grew up, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Who else? Anybody else?
You saying pitchers, right?
Yeah. Another one from the 80s, one from probably the 90s, and one from the 2000s.
All pitchers?
Yeah.
Wow.
One was the ace of the staff at one time.
Rio?
No. Before that. Really good pitcher on some bad teams.
Oh, Mario Speedwagon.
Mario Soto. Mario Speedwagon. All right, another one, former Yankee, David Wells.
Oh, yeah.
And then Edinson Volquez wore number 36.
That's right.
Good one.
Also, a guy named, you thought Chris Saba was the first Spuds to ever play for the Reds. Right? I know you did. A guy named Spud Davis in 1938. He was a catcher in 37 and 38 for the Reds. Played 16 seasons in the majors, mostly with the Phillies and the Cardinals. And he was 16 years. You ever heard of this guy? Guess what his career batting average was? You'll never guess, I'll tell you. 308.
Wow.
308. And you never heard of him.
John probably did, but
John, but John's not here. But
I was just thinking he probably did because he lived during that time.
You like to pick on, you like to act like John's like 100 years older than he really is.
But it makes it fun.
Yeah. Okay. So that's our uniform number thing. So, let's see. Analytics is a lot of talk this year with everything coming in. So let's hear what Sal Romano has to say about. I asked him a lot about sort of that new stuff. So you'll hear me on here a little bit too, asking him 3 or 4 questions about it. With the hiring of people and new positions, they just hired another guy, a game plan coach. Analytics gets talked about a lot. What's different right now that you think is going to be different as far as approach to the game, managing of a game, and so forth?
I think there's a plan. There's going to be a game plan every single game, what they want to do, and I feel like I think that tone's going to be set in spring training. I feel like David's really going to, probably have a meeting with all of us and really explain what he expects from all of us as well. These guys have really talked to us about being, about supporting each other, 1, and 2 is doing your job and worrying about, what you need to do in order for this team to win. And I think we're all, are very, very excited to work with all those guys for sure.
Okay, so you think it'll be a different atmosphere?
Yes, 100%. I think David will bring in something where it's all business for sure. He's definitely, and he's a player's coach too, so he's one of those things where he wants us to succeed, and he's going to let us know what he thinks that we should do.
Yeah, and it could be some a lot of new ideas about how to do that.
Yeah, 100%. With all these people that you have, with the analytics and stuff like that, that stuff's pretty part of this game now. It's kind of got away from the old school stuff. It's stats don't lie, basically, is what they're saying here. So you got to definitely take that into consideration for sure.
And you feel like there'll be plenty of buy-in on this team?
Yeah, I think everyone's open to listening, and these guys have a lot of knowledge in this game and a lot of experience. I think it's something that we definitely have to listen to.
Stats don't like him.
I like that.
Does Woba lie?
The record says you are.
Does Woba lie?
EDP doesn't. EDP lies. EDP lies.
Does WRC Plus lie? Does FIP lie? No.
FIP Plus.
FIP, XFIP. No, it does not. FIP, XFIP, whatever you want to call it. None of that stuff lies. So that's the new paradigm for the Reds. I mean, that's what they're going to be. And as I said before, you might see some managing decisions that we don't understand or we're not used to seeing.
Well, I didn't understand Riggleman's last year.
Well, I know,
right?
And he was old school sometimes.
He would double switch Winker in the 5th inning. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, you know what what they could do this year. You could double switch an outfielder along with Scooter at the same time and go defensive. Put Senzel at second and move somebody else into center, like Irvin into center field in the 6th or 7th inning if you've got the lead. If you've got the 6th or 7th in the 6th or 7th inning, you've got the lead. You might do that and move a guy from center to left, and Winker goes to the bench, or Winker stays in, and Puig comes out. You could see some interesting stuff like that
this year. He said, "I feel," okay, and I don't go by feelings, and maybe that's just a word he's using it, but I feel like there's a plan for every game this year. It's kind of interesting. Well, I don't think it's an attack on anyone. I think it's just the analytics.
Yeah, and I'm sure Riggleman had his plan. It's just a deeper, more thought out, more numbers based plan, not as much gut, so to speak. I think.
I totally agree with that, and I don't know. I like the way that he's going to come up. Like you said, I think he's going to rattle some feathers. I can see him changing things up. And I know there are a lot of baseball in general are not having starters go as long in games, and I think that David Bell's going to be the same way. I think that he's going to start using a lot more middle relievers for longer periods of time and stuff, and I think it's going to have to be questioned a lot, but I think it's going to pay off.
Well, the key as a starter, if you want to go 6 or 7 innings, don't start walking people.
Yeah. But I just think baseball in general is not...
Don't walk people. Keep your pitch count down.
Bob Steve says hello.
You determine your playing time more than I do.
That's
right.
and
there's a lot of truth in that. Coaches say that. I say it.
Well, it's like you hear...
And that's... If you're going strong into the 7th, you're probably going to stay in.
You hear from coaches on Little League on up. Well, you don't hear from Little League, but a little bit older. You want to play? Produce.
Right. But I think it's more than that, though. In baseball in general, their starters are not going like they used to.
Yeah.
It's just extremely rare. And it's not just the Reds that were struggling. Just if you look in statistics in general, I don't have them offhand, but, I mean, a lot of the pitchers in general are not going nowhere like they used to.
No, there's very few guys that ever get to 200 innings.
Yeah.
You don't see guys go 260 innings. You see your aces go longer. They still don't throw the number of complete games that they used to, or shutouts or anything like that. They go longer than the 3, 4, and 5 guys. Your 1s and 2s usually pitch longer. So if you want to be a 7-inning guy, be a 1 or 2 and don't walk people, and don't give up a bunch of home runs, and you can pitch more. You'll have a longer leash. The other thing, and we alluded to it earlier about Sal being such a good dugout guy, and with the home run hugs, and when Billy would score, he'd lift Billy off the ground, and it's a lot of fun. So I asked him about that too, and with and just about Puig and Kemp, and mostly I asked him about Puig, and he mentioned Kemp as well a little bit, but just facing Puig, and I said, is he like? And I don't have this on, I didn't keep all this in here, but before the part we're going to hear, I said, is Puig like one of those guys that when he comes up to bat, is he a scary guy? A pitcher's afraid of him. He says, I'm not afraid of anybody. I said, well, no, I'm okay. I didn't mean to say you were afraid of anybody, but I mean, is he one of those more feared hitters? Is kind of what I was trying to get at. Yeah, and I think he does. He understands how hard that guy is to get out. But here's some stuff he had to say about Puig as a hitter and as a clubhouse dugout kind of guy.
Tough out for sure. He's one of those guys. You got to make quality pitches, as I said before, to get him out in the strike zone. And then obviously his arm in the outfield is one of the more stronger outfield arms there is in the league. So, and then a guy like Matt Kemp, the experience he has postseason wise, and even Puig with the postseason experience he has too. But I think the most important thing about Puig is what he brings, his character. He has fun playing this game, and that's what we're all taught since we're little kids, to have fun playing it and then do your job as well. So I think that's going to be huge for us.
Well, you've been a guy that likes to have fun in the dugout. Eugenio does. All you guys. Is this just another guy to help? What's that going to do for the morale or just dugout?
Yeah, I think it's going to bring a really good vibe into the dugout for sure. We like to have fun with it too. We love to see our teammates succeed. That's what one of my things is I love seeing my teammates do well and make sure that they know that it's one of those thanks, Cody. Scooter being Scooter, but yeah, it's just one of those things where we just want to have fun with it, be relaxed, and have fun, and but win as well.
Yeah. So having a lot of fun, and I don't know if you caught that. We were doing interviews, and Scooter was coming back over to go to the one other guy that was doing interviews for the museum. And he yells out to Sal, says, "You're done."
Yeah,
you're done. And so that was kind of funny. And then I asked him 2 or 3 more questions after that. But Scooter's another guy. He's a fun guy. He smiles a lot. Where we were doing the interviews, away from where the caravan area was, it was 100 feet away from there. In between it is the Air Force One that's in there. The one that Kennedy's Air Force One, LBJ took the oath of office on that plane and all that. So we're doing there's 2 kind of interview stations set up, and we're talking to either Reed or Romano, and the other guy's talking to one of the others. And Scooter goes over and goes up and goes through the plane. So he's going over to do that. Of course, he went right through it. He didn't spend much time in there, but there isn't a lot to see. Just kind of walk through. It's not big fancy plane like you see in movies these days. But so he was having fun. He was coming back from that, and there were other people over there he was chatting up and having a good time, taking pictures with some other local government official types. And so he comes back, and then he talks to us. And we didn't have much time with him because they were a little late, and it was time to get the guys on stage. So we had a shorter time with Scooter. But I think things are new. You got new stuff. You got new players. You got new coaches, a new manager, a new approach, way of thinking about things. And then you add in there another a guy who's full of enthusiasm like Puig is. And I think, I think it all – does any one thing make this team better? No, but all this stuff together gives this team a shot to be competitive. I don't know that they can go to the playoffs this year, but they can definitely be competitive and make us think they can anyway.
Yeah. When they first signed Puig, I was never a big Puig fan, but a lot had to do with his character and stuff. I thought he was getting better in some areas. Then he started predicting that the Dodgers going back to the World Series and they were going to win and all this stuff, and that stuff just arrogance drives me nuts.
Does that bother you?
It does, but the more I've got to see, I started following him on Instagram, and I'm telling you, the guy he's just a fun-loving person. Yeah, he's weird, he's extreme, he licks his bat. I mean, that's just bizarre as I'll get out anyway. But the more I see and hear about him, I'm like, the more I'm really excited about watching him play. He's fun.
Yeah, and he's not the same guy he was 5 years ago.
No doubt.
He's matured.
I want to see that rocket arm from right going into the plate or third base. I look forward to that. Yes. I really do.
Yeah, nailing somebody or holding guys at second all the time. They just can't. They just don't run.
Right.
And that's
Billy has a good arm, but this is a rocket arm.
His arm is insane.
Yeah, I know. Goes back to the Dave Parker days with the arm that he had. Is what
Go ahead,
what
Kim.
makes
the
you
Cobra.
The Cobra. Dave Parker. The Cobra. We got to say the nickname.
Dan Dreesen, they used to talk about his swing. People the Cobra.
The Cobra. Yeah. So let's see what else have I got on my list here. I did want to give a shout out to one of our viewers on YouTube because our podcast uploads to YouTube and you can watch it. It's just a still shot of the title of the show and you can listen to it. So one of our guys on there, S.G. Rickman, this was before they made any of the deals, and he was like, the Reds won't pay for any of these pitchers. Well, they've gotten 3. They've only paid for one of them. In a way, because they're only paying 2 of them this year. We don't know if they'll try to re-sign them. He was, at that time, he said, hey, I'm okay with DeSclafani, Castillo, and Molly being given another shot. Happy with the middle relievers and closers. We need to add a 1 and a 2, and which they've gone out and got 3 guys now. And even before that, then, he was saying, I didn't even bring up Hunter Green early beginning of the year because he's going to be better than any number 2 we got now. Which I see that's the frustration there of like they're not getting anybody. Might as well bring up Hunter Green even though he's not even close to being ready. Wanting them to fork out the money for a solid number 1. Well, did they go get what everybody thinks of as a number 1? No, they got some good pitchers. Maybe Castillo becomes one of the top 30 pitchers in the major leagues this year. If he does, then you've accomplished that, and so forth. So just wanted to acknowledge that. And his lineup at the time was Peraza, Winker, Votto, Suarez, Gennett, Senzel, Schebler, Barnhart. Was what he had Schebler in center, Senzel in left. But then since obviously we've made trades, which brings to that point, it looks like a 4 to 5-man, 4-man outfield. And the whole center field question, and A.J. Pollock just signed with the Dodgers, and he was really the only legit guy you would want to spend any money on to go get. So it looks like they are content to kind of figure center field out as they go. Are we okay? I'm kind of okay with that. If I thought we could, if the center fielder was the one thing that was keeping us from going to the World Series, I wouldn't be happy, but I don't think it is yet. So we've made a bunch of moves. I think I'm okay with figuring it out.
Yeah. We're obviously not going to see the defense we've seen with Billy, but we're going to see the offense that we didn't see with Billy on the field. So, I mean, you've got Schebler can fill the role, Phil Irvin. I know that Senzel's going to be practicing a lot for it. he's just an all-around amazing player that I can see him filling it. I mean, Billy was never a center fielder originally.
That's what I said last time.
Exactly.
Our last broadcast. Billy was not. Why not Senzel? And he has been working at it for a while.
And me and you both are very high on Senzel. So, I'm very, very adamant about this guy.
Robin Yount made the switch to center field later on.
Mm-hmm.
He was a stud shortstop.
Yeah. So the Senzel question too. The other question that comes up is opening day, and there's this whole thing about April, so you get another year of control.
Mm-hmm.
If he's one of your best players, I think he should be on the opening day roster. I've said this before, and the reason I say it, and I haven't said this really before on here, is that baseball players have long memories, and 5-6 years from now, whatever it is, is he going to remember? Yeah, you guys kept me from making my money one more year because you wouldn't bring me up till April. I'm interested in going somewhere else. And I don't think you take that chance. Is Chris Bryant going to be that way with the Cubs? Maybe. I just don't take that chance. Life's too short. Seasons come and go too fast. Your windows to really win are so small sometimes, especially in a market like the Reds and the way the Reds have operated over the years. I don't know. I'm for just getting him in. If he can play, if he's going to play, if he's your utility guy who's going to get 500 bats or close to it, I start the season with him.
I totally agree.
I don't know if you. I know you've said before, Kim. I would wait and wait. Does my reasoning sway you at all?
Both of you, I understand that, and I get it. And you want to see young studs. You want to see the best team out there. Here now, in terms of what's he thinking,
I can't predict
could be
that.
Anything with anyone, right? It could be anything with anyone. Antonio Brown, Le'Veon,
but I don't want to take the chance.
All right, here's my thinking. We have a more difficult time getting players to want to come to Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
We're not a major media market. We're not New York. We're not Chicago. You're not warm weather L.A. And so if you can, big picture for me as I look at it, wait 15 games and then bring him up. And you've got a Shepler. You've got a Puig who can play center field. You got Phillip Ervin who can play center field. And we wait 15 games and you have that extra year of control, I think you have to consider that from an upper management standpoint. I think that's just one of the variables you take to consider. Mm-hmm. What you mentioned, I think you give it some thought, but you do what's best for your franchise.
Well, I agree. You have to do what's best for your franchise, but is what's best for your franchise keeping him happy versus one more year of control? I don't know. I just throw that out there. I think
I see people they sign for the money. They say it's because of this and that, but they sign for the money. Our very own Don Gullett left us and went to the dreaded Yankees 30 plus years ago. Yeah. So many players have left for the money, and their careers have not panned out like you would have thought.
Sometimes
they do.
Because most of the time anymore, because by the time you get to that money stage, you're older.
And in baseball,
Bryce Harper and Manny Machado are exceptions this year, but generally you're
guaranteed.
Older. Yeah.
And so I get that perspective as well. So to me, I've never heard a player say, "Well, 6 years ago they didn't bring me up for another year of control."
They're not going to say it. They're not going to say it. But
and I think is it possible that's the case? Yeah. Is it probable? I don't think so. But who knows what lurks in the hearts of men?
Only the shadow knows.
Only the shadow.
All right. Let's hear what Scooter had to say about a couple things here. Just wanting to win, and he addresses his health.
I want to win ball games. The All-Star game is great. All my accolades are great, but ultimately, what's going to make me feel like I've done my job to the best of my abilities is if we make it to the playoffs and win a World Series.
How's the shoulder?
It's good. It's good. It's 100%. I mean, it's as good as it can be. I've actually finished the season better than I started it, and usually it's the opposite. So as long as I stay up on all the strengthening, it'll be fine.
So Scooter, whose name gets tossed around about trading about as often as stocks on the stock market. He's still here, and his shoulder as well. I said last year, okay, he's not a Gold Glove second baseman, but I don't think he's as bad as we act like he is sometimes. And I think with his shoulder healthy and can throw better, I think he might be okay.
I agree.
I don't think he's, like I said, Senzel's could probably be a better second baseman with the glove, but it's not like they got a catcher out there playing second base. So, I mean, it's sort of that thing like before. It's like, okay, these guys are better than Scooter. You know, of course, I'm using my hand gestures here. Nobody can see them. You know, they're a level above, but are they 10 levels above him, or one or two? And is it, how much difference does it really make? Now, we are bringing in ground ball pitchers and so forth. So if it's going to be more ground balls, Scooter's going to get more ground balls. So that matters. But I think I'm happy he's here.
I'm very happy. I mean, I think a lot of it, we're comparing him to Brandon Phillips. I mean, he's never going to be Brandon Phillips defensive. But then again, I'll take his offense any day and have, average defense. I mean, the way that he plays, I'm thrilled with him.
And the positive influence.
Absolutely.
If you remember, Brandon signed that contract, and then what was it? Just 2 or 3 years later, he was complaining.
Yes.
He was complaining about the contract that he chose to sign.
Yeah.
I doubt you will ever hear anything like that from Scooter Gennett.
That'd be like Suarez after this. If Suarez has another good year.
Be careful now.
When?
Be careful of this hypothetical.
I'm just saying, it would be like if Suarez has another good year and starts fussing about his contract.
But
I don't think he will. But
that's what Phillips did.
And Jim's about ready to jump out of his chair and slug me. But no.
No, it's when Suarez has another good year, and Suarez, being the great guy that he is just thrilled.
Oh, I know. I know. But it would be kind of like that.
We just don't need the divas that
Exactly.
wide receivers and cornerbacks
Yeah.
in football. We don't need this on this Reds team.
Exactly.
We need the chemistry to be strong.
And now that we got rid of Homer, hopefully that's all
Amen.
gotten rid of.
And then one of the guys, though, did you hear, was it Reed or Romano, talked about how much Homer helped him?
It was Cody Reed. He says,
and I know you guys are surprised about that.
It was funny because he knows that how not only the fans are, he's been towards the fans, but he also, I think, he talks about how Homer invited him over to his house once. Well, if he's that thrilled over inviting him over his house once, which Homer might have taken him under his arm a little bit and helped him out, and that's cool if he did, but
you live with those guys.
Right.
You live with them 6+ months a year. Of course you're going to have bonds. Of course you're going to have friendship. Of course you're going to see good and bad. And generally, for the most part, you're not going to air your dirty laundry out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, any more significant roster changes? You foresee anything? I really don't. The Real Muto thing could come up. I've heard that again. That would be the only thing I think would happen. Pollock went to the Dodgers. Maybe the Reds really tried to get him. Maybe, would you rather play in L.A. or Cincinnati? I don't know. I might, a lot of guys would rather play in L.A., and they've been winning. They've been more successful lately.
And that's what I'd say. That's what's impressed me so much about David Bell. Even though I wasn't happy at all when they first signed him, I was actually pretty upset with it. But when I've seen him make the moves and bring in some of these people to help him out, has blown me away. For the simple fact, you got a hitting coach was from a first place team. You're going to a last place team by choice. You got a pitching coach who went from a first place team to a last place team. He's got some. He's got some pull to be able to get these guys in.
He's got some persuasive.
Yes.
Obviously, got some persuasive abilities. Not obviously there was a money was part of that, but
right.
Still, yeah, exactly.
That's why my mind's completely changed about the guy.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
I liked the hire because it wasn't a retread.
Yeah.
But I do know that I read that I think Williams said they're probably not done. They're still looking, but don't. I got that.
Yes, that
I want to
was
say
that.
I maybe remember reading something that they're not looking to spend a lot of money, which makes me think, okay, you've got a bunch of 2 to 4s on your rotation, all right, or 3s, whatever you want to say, and we're going to go with that, and we're not going to go after Keuchel. Now, if something happens and drops in the lap, I think we'd all be in favor of it, depending on who we end up Well, no, he's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
But
And he'd have to say I'm taking 3 years and I'm coming down under $20 million and all that kind of stuff for them to even consider it. Because right now their projected payroll is about 123, and Keuchel's going to put you at 140 or more, and I don't see the Reds going that high. I mean, they're going from 102 last year already. They've already gone up 20 million plus. Are they going to go another? I don't see it. Now, if you trade Kemp in his 21 million, somehow if you trade him before the season starts and make room for something like that, I could see that. And some people say, well, Kemp's got a contract, too big contract to trade. Well, it's like he's been traded 4 times in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Right.
So that's not really a thing. People are trading it off and willing to trade for it. And
that's when you look in spring training at the other team's rosters and see, okay, who got hurt in what position.
Right. Yeah, that can happen. That can happen for sure. So, yeah, I think they're pretty much done. I think this is what we're going to see. I can see them signing a relief pitcher. You'll see a couple guys picked up for minor league stuff. You'll see a move that's like, what? Who's that? Well, they gotta fill minor league rosters, and they kind of screwed that up early last year. Mm-hmm. They had to move a bunch of guys back and forth from Greenville to Dayton, between Greenville, Dayton, and the new rookie league team in Greenville, Tennessee, and Dayton, and then the Billings team in the Pioneer League. They had to shovel with these guys. There were some guys that were on planes like twice in 3 days because somebody didn't do it right, because you can only play so long in the rookie leagues and you got to move up, and they got it all straightened out. But there is a lot of roster management going on and things that happen. You're like, well, so what? What's with this guy? Well, there is roster filler in the minor leagues, and a lot of those guys kind of know what they are, but they like to play ball and might as well do it as long as they can. So anyway, all right, boys, let's wrap it up. What do you say? Had enough?
It's good.
Anything else?
What I say is it's fun to come here to this broadcast, to this podcast, and we have hope. We have hope, finally, and looking forward to spring training and people staying healthy and a bounce-back year for Votto.
Yeah. I'm more excited this year than I have been in years.
He wasn't horrible, but he just wasn't normal Votto.
Right.
Winker staying healthy. And we haven't even talked hardly about Peraza.
Right.
The improvement he had last year from the year before. If he can
Drastic.
continue that, it's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, Jim.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Taking time out on your busy Saturday.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm a busy man.
Well, there was no Reds Caravan today, so
that's about it.
He didn't have anything else to do.
Made it through the traffic in Cedarville, so that was good.
Well, pitchers and catchers are packing their bags for
they
sunny
are.
Arizona, and we're feeling the itch to watch some baseball for real. So here's a little Sal Romano to put a wrap on episode 36.
Fans are really, really excited. I feel like some fans were a little disappointed when Billy left, but I think the trade with the Dodgers really kind of, jump-started everyone back up again and got that buzz in Cincinnati. Bringing a guy like Yasiel Puig, what he brings to the game, and then you obviously bring in a guy like Matt Kemp with the experience he has, and then, the two starting pitchers that we have as well. It's definitely going to help our team. It can only help to improve our team, and I think everyone in Cincinnati and in Reds country are really, really excited to see what 2019 has in store.